Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're not subscribed, please do. It means a lot to me. And it's free as well. So why not? Just hit the subscribe button and like and share comments as well. For today's video, I want to quickly talk about an exclusive Mikel Arteta did with the Athletic. It's actually the New York Times. So if you're not subscribed to New York Times, you won't see it. But I'm going to kind of go through a few parts of this exclusive. Like, Arteta just recently, became an ambassador for Under Armour. And I think this was part of the program for him to have this really insightful interview. I mean, first of all, I've always assumed that Mikel Arteta is a very intelligent, poetic, very analytical person, deep thinker, critical thinker kind of person. So it didn't surprise me at all. He reminds me in some parts of Arsene Wenger. They're very unorthodox. They're very deep thinkers. They're obsessed with football, kind of very unconventional about things. Try to and can be practical as well. So it's a very I highly recommend, if you're able to have access to this on New York Times, I recommend you you read it. It just shows you some behind the scene, how his psyche works, how just mentally how Mikel Arteta is wired. I'll read through a few for you here. So here, and I'll put the link in this video, and also I'll put some screenshots as well. So just you probably see them on the screen somewhere. So let's see a few of them here. I really like. He talked about let's see. Yeah, this is very interesting. There is much more to come, he says, because the manager that the boys needed 3 years ago is a different manager than they need today. The team has grown so much in every sense of that word that they need somebody else. And that somebody else has to adapt and identify what is really important, what is really going to get the fire in the belly to get the best out of them. That's the evolution of a manager. I thought that was brilliant. Really, really well put together. And it's true. When Arteta joined Arsenal, young lad, first real job, quite frankly, after understudying Pep a couple of years, you walk into this huge club with a huge legacy and history and ex-players and millions of fans all over the world, and you are now the guy calling the shots. And you inherit, let's face it, a team that was average at the time, bunch of young players. But in the last 4 years, Gabriel, Saliba, Martin Odegaard, even Ben White, pretty young players. Now we have about 3 pretty young players too. As a manager, I can totally see why that makes sense, to say why he had to evolve himself as well, because the players they needed 3 years ago is no longer the players. The manager they needed 3 years ago. It's no longer the kind of manager they need today, because they need someone a bit. They have evolved, so you also have to evolve. I thought that was really interesting. Another piece is Mikel Arteta has one-on-one chats with his players these days. So this is not something he did in the past. So part of the evolution of him as a manager is he's also beginning to include having one-on-one chat with his players. So he said it's not always easy though. He counters, he says, because the player always wants something from the manager, and that is more game time. Absolutely. But the manager needs to understand, the more competitive he gets, the squad gets bigger, and you're going to have to share. So basically, some players have to play. Some players obviously will not play all the time. As a manager, how do you navigate that? He says, okay, you will be extremely important whether you play 60 minutes or the last 30. And that's something to learn. He goes on to say how it can be very difficult for him, to see a player sad. There was one interesting piece here around. It says, we cannot take away the fact the desire to play every game is something super positive. What we need to understand is that I have to make a decision to play a player for a certain reason, and maybe I pick the player next. And that's not easy. He says so much so occasionally, this is a very good piece. Ateta goes home, feels sad. Basically, Ateta is so in tune with his players and is emotional about it, which I mean, it's the right thing to do. You're pretty much a dad to them at some point. He actually goes home feeling sad because on one hand, you give a player a chance to transform their life. On the other hand, you also deny another player a chance to play until they become sad. I thought that was really, really deep. There's something he mentioned here. He said some of these players have nobody in the country. You are literally all they have. To look them in the face and have to bench them, and make them lose the excitement in their eyes. For him as a manager, it's very, very difficult for him. So much so, he goes home feeling sad. Let's see what else is here. He says, I look at their eyes and bodies, and they tell you straight away how much they want it. They looked in great shape. You can talk, yeah, boss, it's going to be a great season. I'm going to do this. They come on day one and they have 3 or 4 kilograms, basically weight. Big problem. Our players came in and everyone's looking incredibly fit. They are ready. He is ready. Vamos. Really, really cool piece. I really recommend you read if you can. It's a very long piece. I can't go through everything. I'm gonna put the link in the video. Yeah, there's a piece around how he manages young players. It says Arteta is a father to 3 sons. He likes to take them to Hale End Academy when he drops in several times a season to see how things are going. The paternal instinct impacts how he assesses the balance between looking after a prodigy from a human perspective versus recognizing the platform to allow brilliance to flourish at the level. He says with Max Dama, for example, my eldest son is 16. I thought that was really sweet. He says, when I look at Max, he is 1 year younger than my son, He smiles at the madness of it all. I know the conversations I have with my son and the things that we have to be on top of. So I can imagine exactly how Max leaves at home and the conversations that his parents are having with him and the things they need to be constantly teaching and educating him. As fans, we don't really think about these things. Like, we don't think about the fact that Max Down is just 15 years old. Marcel is not too far. And Ethan Wannery as well. These are kids. He's a father as well, Mikel Arteta. And at some point, you're going to have to understand that this kid also see you as their dad whilst they're at the club. So I felt that was really, really sweet. I think it was pretty touching. It was emotional as well. There was something else he said about Arsene Wenger teaching him that when it comes to youths, you pay with points. I thought that was so spot on, because you also have to allow kids to make mistakes. He said that here, you have to allow kids to make the mistakes, but then you pay with points. He said Arsene Wenger used to say that to him as a player, and now as a manager, he's beginning to understand what Wenger, as Arsene Wenger meant, because it's true. Max Downer, what game was that? I think the game against Villarreal, I think. I was watching Max Dowman. You could see several times he made some decisions where you were like, okay, you could just pass the ball. But that's the opportunity for him to actually make those mistakes. But you might end up paying with points. So I think it's really true. Video, guys. It's a really good piece. If you have access to it and can read, please go. It's a pretty long interview. I'm not gonna lie, but it is very insightful, very interesting to see like the human side of Arteta, the fatherly figure, the deep thinker, the a bit poetic side of him as well. It's a really good video. So I can't read everything; it's just too long. But yeah, just wanted to kind of bring you to that piece. If you can find it, I'm sure it's going to circulate on Twitter, on X, and Instagram eventually. But yeah, good piece. Yeah. All right, guys. Cheers. Like I said, please subscribe. It means the world to me if you're not already. And thank you. Cheers. Bye bye.